Hi, welcome to Think Human. I'm Chris, and in this video I want to talk about the temptation of woo, or temptation of pseudoscience. And what got me thinking about this is this kind of concepts and thoughts, this new age way of thinking of energy fields and healing crystals and psychic people and all of these kind of things. And it really got me thinking about it, like what is it that makes people believe in these kind of things? I believe one aspect of it is to try and compress things down into more simpler, understandable concepts. So one is trying to make the world simpler, quite similar to the way that some ancient people believed that volcanoes were the rage of God, or that sickness and disease is some kind of evil spirits, things like that. It's an attempt to explain something in the world, but since we have all the scientific knowledge, that kind of attempts to explain the world are kind of useless and futile. We don't need these things anymore because we do have the scientific concepts. Another part of it, I believe, is the sense of wonder. If you believe that there are people in the world who have some sixth sense, some extra senses, then it makes the world kind of more magical, and that gives you more faith that maybe there's more in this world, whatever that means, and that is a comforting idea to people. Generally, this new age way of thinking, believing in all these kind of ideas, that is a kind of replacement for God, for belief in God. It's a replacement. Instead of an actual God in a religious system, now you have a system in which quite many more things are possible. You know, we do have these energies and stuff going on, and this also might enable people to believe that we have spirits or souls or whatever it might be. Now, that is a tricky subject that we can also get into, like what would a spirit mean, and how would we define it, and whatever. It's an interesting discussion actually be had. But what I think what the issue is that there are two main groups of people in the world. Of course, there are many more, but we're making it really general. So let's think of two main groups of people. Well, three, but two main. One is the group that has the scientific mindset, that has this critical thought, critical thinking, asking questions about the world, reasoning about the world, you know, using the scientific method, like wanting to find the objective truth and not caring how it makes us feel personally, because that is irrelevant if you want to find the truth. And another big group is the group that just is non-scientific, that does not have affiliation with the scientific group. It doesn't mean that these are people who have to believe in nonsense or whatever. It's just people who are not familiar with the scientific concept, the scientific method. And these people can easily be led into these different kind of groups of beliefs. Either it's New Age or Voodoo or, you know, whatever things it is. It's really easy for those kind of people who don't have that system of thinking, of critical thought, of analyzing things, to get into all kinds of different belief systems. But there is a third group. There is a third group that's in the middle, in between, people who are beginning to learn and understand the world and beginning to ask questions and really analyze things truthfully, and finding one by one that what they thought was true actually quite likely is probably not true. And I've been this through myself, and I believe some of you, many of you, have also been through that thing. It's kind of your world collapsing, your old world collapsing. It's kind of a destructive thing. And when it happens, when you learn more and more, it's kind of another way of growing up. It can be painful, confusing, and all these kind of things, because what you thought was true about the world, it's like giving up like 100 Santa Clauses. Like, it's what you thought was true is wrong. Your senses, your prejudices and biases about the world all came out to be wrong, and you learn that you know nothing. And the more you learn, the more you understand that we know so little. So that is a way that really the scientific method really breaks your world down once you really get introduced to it with fresh eyes, if you're still new getting into it. So there are people in the middle who already start to embrace this process of, yeah, like this method makes sense, and it's fine if the result is that my world breaks down. I will build a new way of looking at the world, which is better and more accurate and more objective. But it is really difficult for that group of people who don't have this scientific mindset to get into this other group of having this mindset, because then these people would have to accept that all that they thought was true before, all of their senses, all of their gut instincts and feelings and the surroundings, what their families and cultures believed, they have to accept that all that is wrong. So that is a tremendous leap and step for humans to take, to like that can be absolutely devastating for people. So it's understandable if you introduce some kind of a new concept, scientific concept, to that kind of person, then they will be really hesitant and they will be, well, yeah, you have proof for this, but in their head it's I either dismiss this new idea as this is nonsense and my whole worldview holds, like this is just some fake facts or whatever, and I can still keep my worldview that I have, or they can look at it as this one piece. Well, if it really makes sense, if we really start thinking about it, that would mean that all my previous things, this world I have built, all of this is wrong, and you would have to accept that. So it is a choice between, this is fake bullshit, or everything I know is wrong. And humanly, what is the more likely thing for humans to decide? Of course it is, this is not true, my whole worldview stands. And in humans, this is really built into us. We want to maintain and sustain this kind of picture that we build. People really want to hold on to it. It's natural for humans to want that. But I think, and as we know by thinking about it, one of the main aspects of really understanding the world and getting somewhere with thinking and analyzing is kind of giving up this idea that you have a rigid worldview, that you know how things are and this is the way things are. No, it's a constantly changing and ever evolving and shifting view of the world, that at any moment you can find out that half of what you thought is wrong, and you have to be fine with that. We have to be fine with that and accept that if we want to really understand the world. And I think that is important. It's fine to believe in whatever people want to believe if it makes them happy, but I don't believe we could then have an honest conversation about what the nature of reality is if there's something holding that person back from actually embracing reality and being able to let go of previous notions and concepts, which is really important to do. It takes bravery and courage and kind of willpower, and to be able to just think through it. It can be devastating, like I said, but it's so worthwhile. It's a new way of looking at the world, and nothing's ever the same, and many stuff collapses in your mind, but that's perfectly fine. So yeah, these are just few thoughts about the allure of woo, or whatever I call it in the beginning of the video. So this is a really human thing, but I think also it's really important for us to understand and get our minds around, especially if we're trying to introduce scientific concepts to people who are not familiar with them. We have to keep in mind that for them it's not so simple as it is maybe for someone who is familiar with the scientific method, that like, yeah, this makes sense and you got all the proof, yep, this seems to be at the moment the most logical explanation. For those people it's not that simple. So shouldn't condemn them like that. We should be compassionate and stuff like that. But always should be compassionate for every kind of human being, because we don't know what led them to the places where they are now and all of that. So I hope you got some few interesting ideas from this. If you have any thoughts, please leave them in the comments. And thank you so much for watching, and take care.